great to see those of you in the room here today, and welcome to everyone who's joining virtually. After the last couple of years, it's actually surreal not to see my own face in a box on the screen while I'm speaking. So while I get used to that, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Katie Birch. I'm the Director of Indeed Singapore and the Senior Sales Director for Singapore and Southeast Asia. I've been in advertising and media for the last 18 years, working with brands to convey their messages to customers. Working with brands to convey their messages to customers, and throughout my time at Indeed, I've been working with brands to tell their stories to candidates and to hire top talent. So if you can tell by my accent, I'm originally from Melbourne in Australia, but I've been proud to call Singapore home for the last 7 years. And during that time, I've welcomed my 3 wonderful children here. I have a 3-year-old and 1-year-old twins. So at any time during this presentation I look a little bit tired or I'm taking an extra breath, you now know why. So introductions are important. We use them to understand the people we're speaking with and engaging with, to find common ground, common values, and to learn. I wouldn't be the first person to suggest brands are like people. And in our roundtable just prior to this session, we actually talked about the same. While we're being introduced to a new brand, we learned if their products suit our needs, we choose our favourites and we decide to buy from them. Employer brands help us to learn, find common ground and values of a company. We find out if their jobs suit our experience. We learn about their values. We choose our favourites and we apply to their jobs. Sharing your employer brand stories that matter is quite often the first conversation beyond a job description that you get to have with your candidates. And you're not even connected with them yet. Everything they can find online about you is speaking on your behalf, and that's why it's so important to show them who you are. So, the last years have brought about a lot of self-reflection for everyone, and priorities have been reevaluated. Personally, I had to reevaluate my working schedule to ensure that I was able to spend time with my daughter while she was being homeschooled. I didn't even know what homeschool meant for a 1-year-old at that point in time. There was a really quick dash to the arts and crafts store. Anyone else did the same? You know, I feel you. Just before lockdown, and we needed to make sure we had enough paper and pencils to last the unforeseeable future. I had to reevaluate again, actually, when I was pregnant with the twins and my 1-year-old was 2 by that stage, and had a lot more opinions about what I should be doing with my time rather than working. So for me, thinking about my work-life balance, I was trying to consider my family consistently and the time that they needed me to invest in them, but I was also working through towards a promotion within Indeed. So, everything came into play as I reevaluated my priorities. Can I ask everyone in the room today if anyone else felt those times of needing to reevaluate their priorities? I'm not the only one, right? I'm not expecting you to raise your hands. I can't see you anyway. I did get a raised hand. Thank you so much. So that was actually not even the first time I've been in a situation where I've had to reevaluate my priorities when it's come to work-life balance. Over 5 years ago, before Indeed made their job offer, I had accepted a role with another company. I met with the CEO of that company the very next day, and he proceeded to tell me that if I wanted to be successful in that position, I needed to dedicate all my time to my job, and my personal life decisions should be determined to support that dedication. Now, around that time was the same time my husband and I were talking about starting our family. So when he told me I should be prepared for the first 12 to 24 months without time off, I thought my hopes of becoming a mother were out the window. Throughout their recruitment experience, that commitment hadn't actually been discussed. And I didn't feel like I had the authority as a candidate at that point in time to challenge the request, so I agreed. Needless to say, I went home. I started talking to my husband. I said, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this work? It's an important job to me. Where are we going to make the sacrifices to help make this happen? But one day later, the recruiter from Indeed called. She shared the offer with me and talked me through the benefits package, which included full maternity leave support from day one of employment. So no minimum tenure required, just full support. Of course, I made a call back to the first CEO, and in my first time ever, I revoked my acceptance and I took the role with Indeed. Now, how is that relevant in today's job market? I was back in the driver's seat of my life and my career, and the job market is rebounding, and job seekers are in the driver's seat. So we've fortunately seen some encouraging results in the job market, with employment rates becoming comparable to pre-pandemic levels, signalling positive growth trends. With the progressive lifting of border restrictions, job recovery is expected to grow, aided by both resident and non-resident employment growth across different sectors. And it's not just the job seekers in the driver's seat. Employees also find themselves in a position to ask for more. Employees want greater flexibility, control over their time, physical and mental health support, and more. Organisations have to start listening, engaging, and interacting with their audience of employees and candidates instead of counting on talent just to seek them out. It is a very competitive space. They have to show them who they are, which brings us to the importance of transparency in the job market. So during this session, I will talk about the key factors driving job seeker and employee behaviours and demands, and how to translate workforce aspirations into stronger employee value propositions and employer brands. So starting with key factors driving job seeker and employee behaviours and demands. Indeed conducted research in 2020 and 2021 to determine what motivated Singaporeans to search for a new job. The most compelling reasons were around compensation and flexibility, but over a third were also interested in growth, culture, and belonging. 31% specifically was for good pay or compensation, 15% for a good work-life balance, 10% for flexibility for working, and 6% for a good location. Sorry, I've just pressed something wrong on my screen, forgive me. So further down the recruitment funnel, we see that factors that impact the decisions to apply are also similar to the factors that incite people to search for a job. You'll see again at the top, good pay and compensation are leading the way, location, flexible hours, a variety of benefits, clear path for career advancement, a good fit for a family, meaningful work and all the team environment, ability to work remotely, and the company having a good reputation, all were key considerations. Compensation being a key motivator for searching and applying for a new job is not a surprising statistic, since 62% of Singaporeans find being paid fairly as a top consideration. Furthermore, Singaporeans think about money more now, and this is to be expected with the instability we've been experiencing. However, while pay and compensation may be what motivates job seekers, Indeed's research shows that increasingly more job seekers are experiencing isolation, burnout, and stress, leading them to leave their jobs. These local studies lined up with our findings from global work happiness research that we conducted with Forrester. We found that once our basic needs are met, like fair pay and flexibility, the importance shifts to our happiness and well-being. When we asked people what they think will make them happy at work, factors like being paid fairly, learning, also referred to upskilling and flexibility, came out on top. But when Forrester did a deeper dive into the analysis based on what actually contributes to our workplace happiness, other factors were found to be much more important, such as feeling energised, a sense of belonging, and trust. We've explored what people are looking for and the many questions that job seekers and employees may have for employers. To attract and retain them, you'll have to answer those questions, and a policy of transparency will help you do that. Your employee value proposition is the foundation of your employee experience. It should be designed to highlight what employees want now more than ever, which is a great work-life balance. This includes aspects like flexibility. So this could mean flexible work hours, work days, sabbaticals, paid time off, caregiving leave, etc. Employee resources or programs like employee resource groups, learning and development opportunities, and mentoring programs to support their mental well-being and personal and professional growth. Or inclusion efforts, like having a greater authenticity and transparency around communication. This communication could be from leadership and managers to their teams, or encouraging open conversations and soliciting feedback through employee surveys. So, whether you're rebuilding, revisiting, or setting up your employee value proposition, consider transparency when communicating these 6 elements. Meaningful commitment to diversity, inclusion, and belonging. Commitment to social responsibility. Prioritising meaningful flexibility. A shared vision of tomorrow. Opportunities for professional and personal growth. And promoting wellness, well-being, and happiness at work. And while you develop your employee value proposition, another important element is the employee experience. Going back to my experience with consumer brands, this intersection in the middle of the experience of your customers and the message that you've conveyed in your advertising is considered the truth. In this case, we've identified it as the brand promise. In our recruitment world, the experience of your employees is a huge part of what makes your employer brand. If the employee experience and your brand story don't interact, you don't have a brand promise. So all of these contributing factors combined suggest that your employee value proposition, partnered with the experience of your employees, is your authentic brand story. The external perception could be rewards, so compensation and benefits, market, so your job seekers and your customers, organisational, brand and your mission, and then your internal reality, including the opportunities for your employees through development and career growth, your people in general, and your culture, which includes your diversity and value proposition. So where are your audience experiencing your brand story? It's always important to remember the job seeker journey. Most often, it starts with someone looking for a job. They're looking for a role that matches their experience or where their skills are transferable. That's your first opportunity. Your job description tells part of your story, and if it does a good job, the candidate becomes interested in applying and wants to know more. They want to know what it's like to work for your company, what it's really like. Sometimes job seekers have already researched the companies and determined that they are their employer of choice, and then follow that brand to wait with job alerts for their job to become available. Whichever journey your candidates are on, it's important that the brand message they discover is consistent. This is one of the reasons why Indeed and Glassdoor have partnered to support your employer branding and hiring strategy by showing them who you are, where they are. At Indeed, our mission is to help all people get jobs. We work really hard on our brand promise and all the contributing factors that power it. Our physical boardrooms have an orange chair that remains vacant during meetings. This is to symbolise the job seeker being at the table to remind us to think of them in everything that we do. Even when we're working from home, the image of the orange chair was shared to help us remember. Our mission at Indeed has always been to help people get jobs. This year we've emphasised all people with a focus on diversity and inclusion. We've allowed time now to have a short Q&A, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand or feel free to stand if you're in the room, and our partners with roaming mics will be able to come over to you. I apologise to those who are joining virtually that we're unable to take your questions live today, but please do send them in and we'll be in touch to respond to them after the event. Now, if there aren't any questions, I'm actually okay with that. It does suggest that we've covered off a lot of what you're expecting to hear today, so that's great too. And I can't see, so should I just... There is a question at the back. I literally can't see.
Thank you. Hi, that was a great session. Thank you so much, Katie. I was really interested to see the data that you pulled around how compensation is so far and so high up on the scale of it being number one priority in a job search, and how flexibility and options of where to work was so far down. I would have thought after the whole pandemic period that would have been closer to the top. So I'd be curious to hear a little bit more on your thoughts around that, and perhaps take a broader view than maybe just Singapore. Maybe you can answer it on a more broader level of Asia. Could you hear that? Yeah.
I actually couldn't hear you, so Colleen's just going to come and ask.
It's all right. Hi. You definitely need to turn the lights up here. Hi. That was me. Yes, but apparently it's not working. Sorry?
If you could just talk louder into the mic, it's hard to hear up there.
You want me to talk louder into the mic? Okay. Can you hear me, Katie? No.
A little bit louder?
You know what, don't worry, I'll take it offline. I'll come and find you.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I mean, the next thing I was going to share is actually that we have an Indeed booth here today, so please do come and find me. It's directly opposite the exit to this hall, so just straight down against the far wall. I do hope that everyone can come and join us at the booth today. We have our team in person here, which is exciting, obviously, after the last couple of years not being able to do this all together. But the team is available to talk about hiring, your hiring needs, your employer branding needs. We also have personalised luggage tags, some Indeed swag, and an activity board. So we do hope to see you there. Please do come find me. I'd love to continue the conversation. But I also hope this was useful to everyone today, and thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event.